The Chicago Bears just got some really good news on their coaching search. And no, the Bears are not hiring Bill Belichick. He made a kind of shocking move. He just accepted a college job at North Carolina. But the question is, how does this affect the Bears? And with this hire, Seth Wickersham with ESPN, he just shared some inner workings of the deal and how through that it not only elevates the attractiveness of the Bears job, which frankly, that's been in doubt lately, but who they are considering. And I'm just going to go to the story here. This is Sports Talk Bears. I'm your host, Sean. This is my co host, Dante. And it's great to have you here. So, going through this story a little bit, it's a related part of the puzzle. There's also news on Kevin Warren and a green light given by the McCaskies as well. And this greatly influences this coaching search as well. It allows us to go after the top candidate. I'm going to get into that in a few minutes. So let's get into this ESPN story. And the first part of it, Wickersham, he shared that Belichick has met every single week with a bunch of his former assistants. And among them, we're talking like Matt Patricia, Josh McDaniels, Michael Lombardi. And each week they go through all things NFL. They go through game film. They go through where they think the NFL is moving, things like league trends, salaries, offensive and defensive schemes, etc. Just really comprehensive. And kind of what he's doing is essentially keeping his staff together for future jobs that might come up. And I think it's going to be interesting as well to see if any of these guys follow him to Chapel Hill. But the big question that's come up repeatedly in these meetings, which job is the most attractive in the NFL? Which team would Bill most like to be head coach of? The consensus was repeatedly our very own Chicago Bears. And if you're a Bears fan, you've been paying attention. It's been a really tough time for us, especially over the last week. A lot of talks of disharmony in the front office. I think that's a legit concern, and an unwillingness to spend money on the right candidate. More on that in a moment, but we have a history of that. Also shedding some light on a roster that's not absolutely perfect. We're not just one player away. But I think it's an absolutely bad take to think that the top candidates wouldn't want to come to Chicago. The front office stuff that's going to resolve, part of that should be providing stability and giving Ryan Poles an extension. If he's going to be staying here, I think he definitely will, and that will get done. We've got our franchise quarterback in Caleb Williams. We've got a great receiver room, a pretty good defense. Yes, there's been some issues exposed, but this group, they play really well when they're motivated, and this coaching stuff has been difficult. The biggest thing regarding defense, what needs to be done in the offseason, I mean, you guys know, trenches on both sides of the ball. That's the number one priority. And I will say the loss of Andrew Billings to injury, that's the real issue with the defense right now. We need more interior help. After that injury, it just hasn't been the same across the board. He might be the absolutely most important player on the team defensively. He holds down the interior of that defensive line, and it's so important. So in short, the Bears can have confidence. This is still the most attractive job, and we can take our pick of candidates. The other thing that was shared, this is from a direct source. The team around Belichick, these guys I'm talking about, they also believe that the Bears would not pursue Bill. And it's not just because of his age. It's not a well-kept secret at this point around the league. The Bears will, in fact, go offense with this hire, giving Caleb Williams the best possible situation offensively. And that most likely hire is going to be Ben Johnson of the Detroit Lions. And now this isn't an opinion piece. This is confirmed belief of what the hire will be by a group of men with deep NFL ties, informed opinions. Most people around the league are starting to agree as well that the Bears are going to make a run at Johnson at their first choice for their head coaching vacancy. And now we can talk about guys like Mike Vrabel. We can talk about guys like Brian Flores. And we will. There's plenty of time for that. But I think the Bears going offense with Johnson or even Cliff Kingsbury as a second option, it's almost a foregone conclusion. And the next question, what's the cost of Johnson? The price he's floating out there. Many insiders believe it's going to be like McVay money, around 15 mil. And now if you're looking at the history of the Bears, They've been notoriously stingy pertaining to coaching hires, right? Essentially acting like a small market team, but we're really in the second biggest NFL market in the country. So we've passed on the splash candidates in the past, but I believe that tradition, it's going to be broken again. And I think we're going to end up being really happy that Kevin Warren's here. Warren has a history of swinging for the fences, thinking big. Man, I can't talk today. Excuse me. So this is the kind of Big Ten commissioner he was, being a part of absolutely revolutionizing the game, turning the game into super conferences. He was behind getting lucrative deals done with schools like UCLA and USC joining up the Big Ten. I think he's going to get this stadium deal done over the next league year. And Brad Biggs of the Chicago Tribune, he's actually confirming that the apron strings are going to be cut. Warren can get the guy that's decided on, and cost is not going to be an issue. So two sources said a plus here is that Warren, he's likely to get the full green light to spend as much as necessary to make the right hires. And that's plural, because head coach, he's only as good as his assistants. So he's going to be able to spend up on assistant coaches as well. And this is to hear from him. You hate saying the decisions are going to set the trajectory of the franchise over the next 15 to 20 years. And this is Warren talking. This is one that will. We got to dream big. So right or wrong decisions, this is one that will not be hamstrung by attractiveness of the position, small thinking, cheapness, and compensation even. Barriers have been removed to get this pick right. So in the meantime, let's look for the Bears to signal stability with a polls extension. That's very, very important. Send that message to candidates that this office is going to stay together. Look to see who's interviewed very, very soon, because candidates that are currently employed, interview requests can be submitted to teams once the NFL playoffs start, and that's going to happen very, very soon. So we're kind of looking at, if we get a candidate in, maybe a retread. I don't know if retread is the right word, but a guy that has a little more pull around the league. He might absolutely insist that the GM is replaced. I don't think Ben Johnson is going to be that guy. I think Ben Johnson is looking to enter into a stable situation, and that needs to be signaled by extending Ryan Poles. He wants to come into a team that's contending, and we definitely have the tools to contend, especially on offense. And we just need to firm out the trenches. We need to use this $83+ million in free agent money that we're going to have due to our salary cap being in such good shape. We got to use that to bolster the offensive line in the draft and in free agency. Do the same thing with the defense, and we should be ready to cook. And but there's work to be done. I think we are more than just a coach away, and I think Ryan Poles knows that. I think GM Kevin Warren knows that. And the coaching candidate coming in, I'm really looking forward to interviewing Ben Johnson, seeing what he has to bring to the table. As, man, he has just been innovative and a guy that adjusts his offense, and he's been able to do more with less, because when he at first entered the scene with the Detroit Lions, the cupboard was pretty bare, and he was able to cook almost immediately. So you guys let me know what you think. Bear down, and looking forward to this game on Monday night against the Minnesota Vikings. I'll talk to you soon.